Before we get started on this video, this is not going to be your usual video about Geozones and why we think it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'll just say right now, I think it's a good thing that the Geozones have been taken away. End of story. What this video is about is why do we have Geozones, or why did we have Geozones in DJI drones, and where did they come from? So if you want to find out where it all started, make sure you stay and watch this video because you might find it quite interesting. Hi everyone, Stephen from the Flyby guys, and we're talking about Geozones and where they all came from. Now those of you who have other types of drones other than DJI, you will know that there are no Geozones on those drones. You can fly anywhere. And yeah, I think it's a good thing that you should be able to fly because as a professional, we don't want to be stuck trying to unlock places because we need to do the work. But DJI have these zones in there, or had these zones. Now, actually, here in Finland right now, we actually still have those zones there, so it hasn't been taken away yet. But we know that this has been going on now for 11 months. Parts of Europe and the UK were first 11 months ago. The US had their zones taken away just last week, and there are some other countries still to have them taken away. But where did it all come from? Well, it all really stemmed back from 1989 and the Tiananmen Square massacre in Beijing. Now, this is obviously a very sensitive subject for China. And I think it was in 2013 when the DJI Phantom 2 was released. There was an update, and that is where they first introduced the very first Geozone. So they didn't want anyone coming into the area of Tiananmen Square to do any filming. So they set up a Geozone. This was the very first. So from the first Phantom to the Phantom 2, when they came out, there was no Geozones, but there was an update that came in. And you can see here from these release notes that you can see that it actually states that this first Geozone has been brought in. So that was the very beginning of the Geozones when it started, and then from then on DJI actually started to introduce Geozones into airports and whatnot as well, and that was just, data that they got from the FAA, CA in the UK, and also Eurocontrol in Europe as well. So because this data is actually freely available, so they just implemented that as a way. Now you can probably say that it's their way to just actually justify having certain zones, so they put them everywhere. And yes, but now they seem to be actually unlocking. Now, if you look right now in Beijing, you can still see that Geozone still exists, and it really goes up as far as 14 miles, which is a really, really big zone. It's probably one of the biggest zones I've ever seen, but it's still there. So it's still a very, very sensitive subject for the CCP. So yeah, so that's where it all came from. So from that point, they don't want people getting in and actually seeing and obviously recording and putting that information out, obviously to the public, because it's China and they like to control everything. But as we know right now, all our zones are being unlocked, which means that we have the freedom to do. But of course, please make sure always check your aviation maps that you have in the country so that you know where you can and where you cannot fly. That is very, very important. So we should not be using the DJI maps at all, because the information, apart from the airports, the information is outdated and it is of no use. So anyway, I thought you might find this interesting. I thought it was quite interesting actually to know where it all started from, and then that's where it actually expanded. But of course, now that the aviation authorities in your region now have control, they can now set where you can and cannot fly, even though it's not hard embedded into the drone, but you should be looking at the aviation maps. Thank you everyone. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It's something which I don't often say, but I much appreciate those who do, and we'll see you on the next video. Fly safe.